Yali sir.
Yali Madad. Thank you, Nevin. हमारे पास 1 minute है. So let me introduce Yasmin Karim from Vancouver, Canada, and Dr. Rubina Baroria from Karachi, Pakistan. Welcome back for our second session on Sibghstulla, the colors of Allah. So whenever you are ready, Yasmin, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Ya Ali Madad, everyone. Once again, thank you everyone for being here. It's really a wonderful experience to share with you some of our insights. So today we will continue with part 2 of Sibghstulla. We'll recap Imam's words as to how color has so many different multiple dimensions. Moving on to exploring color as sound and fragrance, and then Dr. Rubina is going to explore the understanding of spiritual light colors in the context of Aya Nur. And so we begin. So just a little bit of a recap. The beautiful word Sibghstulla, as you already know, it's the colors of God, and how beautiful that the same root word is for Sibga, Sibgatu, Sibgun, or Sib. And there are beautiful meanings attached to it, right? To transform. So how is color of God? How are the colors of God transforming us? The light. How is the light of God transforming us, right? How can we color ourselves in the color of God? We touched on that last time, and today Dr. Rubina Barodia is going to give us a new context, a new understanding with reference to Aya Nur. And then lastly, how can we forever immerse ourselves and deep ourselves in these beautiful words of our beloved 48th Imam? We live, move, and have our being in God. We are literally immersed in the Nur. How beautiful is it? How can we always realize it? How can we benefit from it? How can we empower ourselves with this realization and the understanding that every single thing, every single being, every single particle in the universe is immersed in the Nur? But what is the reason that we are all at different stages or different levels? So here we see a principle which tells us there are two things in creation. One is levels. Everyone is at a different level according to his or her own hardship, or according to his or her own ambition, struggles. And the other thing in nature and creation is also equality, oneness. So we see that the highest color, the most profound, the most beautiful of all color, the experience is colorless, right? It's tasteless. So again, that refers to this whole sublime reality of the oneness of God, Wahadat, right? I really like this verse from the one in Asiri. It empowers me, it energizes me, and this actually is a new translation by Hubeli and Aminuddin, and it's called "It Is No Secret Now." What is the secret we are talking about, right? And how can, as we have seen already, that Sibghstulla, the colors of God, the light of God itself is the secret, right? And so this spiritual light, arise, O the son of spiritual light, you are the pillar of the sky, it is no secret now. So this is actually, again, at many different levels. Remember the rule of third, right? So we start from the square, circle, triangle, we go all the way highest to the higher realities. But suffice it to say that the Imam of the time, who is the sun and who is the spiritual light, he is all-encompassing. Now, I would really like all of you to unmute yourselves and share with me, what do you think this is? What does it look like to you?
I love blue paint.
Yes, absolutely. The reason I have this particular image is because this is a new discovery. Okay, it is discovered by Professor Mas Subramaniam. Okay, Egyptians who actually had created the first synthetic color. It was more like a turquoisey, right? And this now here, 2009, accidentally this color was discovered, called Yin Mian Blue. Yin Mian Blue, it's a scientific name based on the three elements it's made up of. Y for yttrium, I for indium, and M for magnesium. So these three compounds together have created this new discovery. Okay, it is actually reflective. It's non-toxic. It's really quite a discovery. Coming back to Nur Maulana Shakri Maluseni Hazar Imam's words, how amazing it is, right? Remember, he speaks about how faith is more valuable than a person who is very rich and has no faith. And then he talks about how each one of the Jamaati members, each individual, ultimately influences, right? And colors their own communities, their environments. And then he gives us the formula here, how we can do that, how we can achieve that. He talks about what then are your duties as individuals and what must you do for your own personal welfare. Again here, remember self-reliance, briefly we touched upon last week. So very, very important. Everything always begins with oneself, right? Man, know thyself. That's our ultimate goal. Which we'll see as Dr. Rubina takes us through this journey, how it's possible and how easy, in a way, Imam is making it for all of his murids who are yearning and seeking it. So Imam says education comes first. Through our actions and our deeds, we color the communities, our communities, whether it's local, regional, or national, or international, right? And the way we can color the world, bring about revolutionary changes, is by first changing ourselves, by first making ourselves in harmony with nature. And the way we can be in harmony with nature is the balancing act, right? Remember Dr. Seuss, life is a great balancing act. So knowledge and action, ibadat, giri awzari, with knowledge, ethical deeds, all those things. Education must come first. And then look, this is the key, which is connected to what we are doing today, Sibghstulla, right? The colors of Allah. What does he say? Education, which we should be receiving every day from our existence by the very act of living. Music to our ear and color to our eyes and color to taste, to color to our taste buds and all that. It's really, really empowering. I invite you to reflect on these words. Education which we should be receiving every day in our existence by the very act of living. Now remember, the human being is a junction of these three worlds, right? The physical, spiritual, and intellectual. So Imam actually is inspiring us, and then he's telling us that one of the ways in which we can make our colors vivid, our actions beautiful, is by having a balance between these three, the physical, spiritual, intellectual. So, the body, we have the physical body, and therefore we are in a position to do beautiful things. And this human body actually is such a beautiful gift. Life is a great and a noble calling, not a mean and groveling thing to be shuffled through, right? So again, we are talking about colors, colors of ethics, colors of our values, because we have this life, we are able to plant and make our farm so unique, so wondrous, so that when we actually go to Lama Khan, when we go to the next realm, we have all these fruits and flowers with us. So the ingredients of colors for us as individuals come here. Through our body, we do something. It's the action, say something, speech. So remember, it resonates on our faith. Remember, the central core principle of faith is the obedience to the Imam of the time and his authority, right? And again, intellect. So without understanding, without wisdom, remember, wisdom tells us right from wrong. So it's really beautiful if we try to complete this cycle of knowledge and transcend knowledge to wisdom. So those are the colors within the harmony of body, soul, intellect, and joy, nature. So I put this slide because it intrigues me, like, what is the color of soul? Is it blue? Why blue? I make this conclusion by reading works of the greatest 21st century Ismaili poet, Allama Nasiruddin. And the reason it's blue, like if we look at leaves physically, right? Leaves change every autumn, Indian summer as it's called. The leaves fall off, right? Why? Because there's a chemical process inside each leaf, and that process is changing. And basically, chlorophyll, which we know is the green color pigment, right? So how is chlorophyll created? It is through the process of photosynthesis. How does it do that? It converts light energy into chemical energy. See the element of light there? Yeah. So when the primary colors, yellow and blue, mix, they create green, right? So when the blue color is removed, or when the blue color exits out or leaves from these leaves turn yellow and orange and all the wonderful purples and reds, and then they fall off. Why? Because the blue color is missing. And how is the blue color created? Through photosynthesis, when it actually converts light energy into chemical energy. So just wanted to share that. The blue color itself is very intriguing. All right, so just remember very quickly that light is a spectrum of electromagnetic waves, and there are so many different lights. The only one that's visible to us is the spectrum of the rainbow colors. So, and it's 7 colors. This is a beautiful acronym we can remember it with. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. But also remember that the invisible light, which we cannot see, is the most amazing, and it works in us, in our bodies, our souls, our intellect, and it does transform, it does transcend. And the whole idea again is how receptive are we? How much are we willing to sacrifice to open our inner eye as well, right? All right, so that was inspired by faith is color. How the sunlight itself has so many multiple meanings physically. So what about the spiritual Nurani rays? What can it not do, right? So just want to briefly mention Dua-e-Nur, which has 16 lights mentioned, right? And it starts with the light for my heart, right? Light for the heart. Why heart is first? Because again, it connects with faith. Remember Imam's words, right? That we color the communities we live in by the practice of our faith. So faith, because throughout, like the heart is actually pumping oxygenated blood and removing deoxygenated blood, right? So when Imam's Nurani rays travel throughout our being, our body, then we can actually be consciously aware. It's very amazing to be consciously aware, because then it leads us to finding aha moments and mysterious realizations. But it's all simple and it's all beautiful once we realize that we are immersed in the nur of the Imam of the time. And the way it works is through the process, through belief systems, right? Through understanding and accepting Imam's farmans. All these attributes, all the 99 attributes of Allah can be actualized in our own personal world. All right. So how is color a sound? This is a reference to Kokabeduri, where Mullah Ali says, and remember the principle, right? That Mullah Ali is a title, and Mullah Ali from 7th century Arabia is the Ali of the time today, Mullah Ali Imam. So he says, Mullah Ali says, I am the Nakur. Nakur is the sur of Israfil. It is the trumpet which awakens everyone with its sound. So what is this sound, right? And in what sense can the blessed Imam be the Nakur, and why? So Imam of the time, the Imamat of the Imam of the time, the Nur of the Imam of the time is this Nakur. It is this most sublime, most beautiful, most awakening sound or trumpet, which awakens people. It makes people realize of our own inner potential, of the beauty of this life, coming together in a pluralistic environment. And here, very quickly, I can mention the example of the bee, because we are talking about Sibghstulla, right? The bee actually goes to all these beautiful flowers. They are all different colors and different fragrance. But the bee makes it into one honey. And bee is the beautiful animal, the only one in my research that is actually not producing any waste. So, for example, the vomit of the bee is the honey, right? It's very, very interesting, amazing. Anyway, so the example of the bee, how the bee is going to all the different colors, equal light, fragrances, because some flowers are so beautifully scented, and it's converting all this into one taste of honey, right? Does food have color, right? So remember the square, circle, triangle, physical, spiritual, intellectual. So physical food creates waste, it's limited, but how beautiful is spiritual food and fragrance, right? So let's have a look. It is the light of the Imam of the time which encompasses all these senses, right? All the nurs that we ask for in Dua Nur, right? For our heart, our ears, our eyes, our tongue, guidance, and all the mercies and all the healing is encompassed in Imam's Nur, okay? And I wanted to mention that today, Nur Maulana Shakir Hussaini Haji Imam has actually created the Akhad Music Award, right? And I just wanted to make a comparison of Haji Imam with Hazrat Dawood, alayhi salam, right? So why Hazrat Dawood when he was physically a prophet and Imam is the Imam, right? So this Quranic reference actually helps us to understand that the spiritual and intellectual miracles of the prophets and the Imams are all alike. Yeah? And this Quranic reference is very empowering. It affirms, it says, O Daud, verily we have appointed you a vicegerent in the earth so that you can guide the people to the truth. Right? So vicegerent, okay? Allah has appointed Hazrat Daud not just as a prophet, but also as the Imam of the time. Now, remember that Hazrat Dawood was using music musical instruments. If you look at Psalms of David, you can see the beauty of the Surah of Israfil in all those beautiful poems that are cited there. Okay, so how are we as Ismailis today celebrating and jubilating this sound, the sound, the divine sound, right? Whether it's the vocals, it's dance, visual arts, multimedia, whether it's augmented reality, virtual reality, holograms. Holograms are intriguing. I think they can come up with lots of solutions. There are artificial intelligence, all those things put together. Again, remember that Nur Maulana Shah Premal Sini Hazri Imam is bringing all these resources for everyone in the world. Sound, right? It's the nakur, it's the trumpet, it's which awakens human beings to actualize our potential. Remember, our potential is to know ourselves so we can know our Lord, right? And this is a beautiful link. I would invite you to do some search. You will be really amazed and also be intrigued by some of the styles and uniqueness of world culture, especially look, Imam says here. So he's also always correcting misperceptions, right? Because many in the Muslim world believe music is not permissible or is not part of Islam. And Imam is saying that that is very, very limited view, right? He says that the cultural heritage of Islam has long embraced musical language as an elemental expression of human spirituality, right? Remember, we are talking about Sibghstulla. How is this sound? How is the sound of a ginan? How is the sound of a qasida? How is the sound of the Imam? When Imam speaks, that's Nurani Didar actually. And we'll come to a slide in just a few moments. It's very intriguing, where it mentions that the disbelievers have a finger in the ear. So that means they are closing their minds to the realities of Imam's guidance. Moving on to how light, which is color, is fragrance, right? So there are many examples of light being fragrance. And I think the most beautiful example we can look at is from the Quran, which is from Surah Baqarah, ayah 57, yeah, where God says, tayyaba, spiritual fragrance. You'll remember the story of Hazrat Maryam, where she speaks about how she receives food from Allah. So the question is, what is this food? Is it only for baby Maryam? Is the food solid, liquid? What kind of form is this food? And how is she receiving this food? Right? Is it physical? Is it subtle? Where fruits are mentioned, they actually refer to, or the wisdom of the word, or the spiritual science, spiritual wisdom of the word fruit is subtle particles, which is also fragrance. How do fragrance enter our body? Through the feet, to our head, particles can enter our body, right? We come to the prayer of light. Most of you are already very, very familiar with it, that this prayer is taught to us by a Holy Prophet and also Imam Jafar Sadiq. And I think Dua Nur is so beautiful. It makes us realize that we are praying for light. And then it mentions 16 dimensions, right? So again, it empowers us that, nothing is impossible because we are seeking for light. And we now realize that we are asking Mola to create a light above, below, front, right, the whole being, not just for our physical beings, but also around us. So this whole idea of we live, move, and have our being in God becomes so empowering, and it takes us to a new realm, right? To new understanding every time we recite Dua Nur. That's how beautiful it is. Dua Nur also tells us how the waves of light are running throughout the living personality, the living embodied light, which is the Imam of the time himself. Remember in the example of Hazrat Isa, when he touched the lepers, they were cured. So it's not just physical, it's all encompassing. Colors of Allah are medicine, healing for every kind of disease, physical, ethical, spiritual, intellectual. And these Nurani rays, waves, are the light, the color that burns away all weaknesses. There is a beautiful hadith, in Allah Jamilun Yuhibbul Jamal. Indeed, Allah is beautiful and loves beauty. So we see here also that the most beautiful, the most sublime, all-encompassing light of Allah is love. As we can see in the Ism Al-Wadud. Al-Wadud is Allah is the one who is loved the most, but also He is the one who loves the most. So imagine when Allah colors us in the color of His love, everything becomes possible, because then everything becomes easy. The struggle becomes joy. This Al-Wadud also is so all-encompassing, also reminds us that how the ultimate color of Allah is actually the workshop itself from where all other colors emerge, and how it continuously inspires us. And this ultimate color of Allah is the color of oneness, Wahdat, which is monoreality, as explained by our 48th Imam, Companionship on High. And that Islam's basic principle is monorealism, not monotheism. In the Holy Quran, God says that whoever is given wisdom is given abundant good. So what color is wisdom? Is it colorless? Is it green? Is it red? Is it yellow? Yes, it's all those colors, right? Because we are on this journey of Sirat al-Mustaqim, so every time we have a circle of growth, al-hay, and then change, right? Qayyum. So we are constantly growing, evolving, being aware consciously of the colors of Allah. My time is up, so I'm just going to leave it here and invite Dr. Veena to please continue on.
Thank you, Yasmin. So as Yasmin already has mentioned that colors have various dimensions. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I'll just discuss color of light and Noor in the context of Ayah Noor, as we said that remember that word light is mentioned in Quran 49 times, and it is like while our present Imam is 49th Imam in the holy succession of Imamat, and it is not possible that this is the blessed age of 7 into 7, 49th Jama, and in both the world, religious world and the physical world is progressing so much, and it's illumined by spiritual and physical knowledge and wisdom. So this is the time where you can witness that seat of Imamat, and AKDN and the seat of Imamat is so much visible and very prominent in all the world. So that is saying something, that this progression of the Imam of the time being so much progressive and so much illumined, not in this physical world, but also in the spiritual and intellectual context as well. So we can also understand light from the Holy Quran and Farman, which is Noor, that in Surah Ahzab, which is chapter 33, ayat 43, Allah said that He sends blessing on you. This verse is related to Salwa. So when Mu'min says Salwa, then Allah is saying that He sends blessing to you and His angel also. and that he may bring you forth from the darkness of ignorance unto the light of knowledge and wisdom. So he brings you from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge and wisdom. And the purpose of bringing this Salwat and Giryawazari and all those, and what we are spending time on this knowledge and wisdom, actually we are moving from darkness to the brightness, and the brightness is actually knowledge and wisdom. So for the verse, Surah Nur, which is also termed as Ayah Nur, this is little bit a long verse, and it is 24, chapter 24, ayat 35, and it is Nurus Allahu Nurus Samawati wal Ars Masalu Nurihi Kamishkatin Fiha Misbah Al Misbahu Fi Zujaja Az-Zujajatu Anna Kawkab Duriyu yukaddu min shajaratin mubarakatin zaytunatin la sharqiyatin wala gharbiya yukadu zaytuha yuziu walau lam tamsasuhu nar nurun ala nur yahdillahu linurihi man yasha'u wa yadribullahu al-amsala lin-nasi wallahu bikulli shay'in alim. So this is a long verse, but if we need to understand bit by bit from the context of Nur and from the context of Imam's Nur and Prophet Nurs, it is given in many of the books. It's a translation in English. Yasmin, you can read it for me. Is it possible?
Sure. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. His light is a niche in which is a lamp, and the lamp is a glass. The glass is as though it were a glittering star. It is lit from the blessed tree, an olive, neither of the east nor of the west, the oil of which would give light, though no fire toucheth it. Light upon light, Allah guides to His light whom He pleases, and Allah sets forth parables for humanity. Allah has perfect knowledge of all things, and all things does know. Surah Nur 24, ayat 35.
Thank you, Yasmin. So Allah आसमान और ज़मीनों का नूर है, उसकी नूर की मिसाल एक ताक की सी है जिसमें चिराग है। वो चिराग एक शीशे की कंदील में है और वो कंदील ऐसी हो जैसे गोया चमकता हुआ सितारा। वो जैतून के मुबारक दरख्त के तेल से रोशन होता है। वो न शर्की है न गरबी, करीब है कि इसका तेल खुद ब खुद रोशन हो जाए अगरचे इसको आग न छुए। नूर पर नूर, अल्लाह जिसे चाहता है अपने नूर की तरफ रहनुमाई करता है और अल्लाह अपने बंदों के लिए मिसालें बयान करता है और अल्लाह हर चीज को जानता है। we'll see bit by bit. So first, it's a very prominent ayat where Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah alayhi in his Memoirs of Aga Khan, chapter 8, Islam, the religion of my ancestor, he is mentioning particularly this ayat, and he said that I have found the following verse of Quran, so long as it is understood in purely non-physical sense, has given understanding to myself and other Muslims. So that means that he is saying that he is giving understanding if you understand in a non-physical sense. So it is very important that we understand this ayat in a non-physical sense, and he is warning. अब वो इमाम warn भी करते हैं, I must however warn all of who read it, not allow their material critical outlook to break in with literal verbal explanation of something that is symbolic and allegorical. So Imam is explaining that if you particularly read this verse, like Allah is saying that light is like a lamp and there is a glass around and a glittering glass and it's lit by the oil. So these are symbolic presentation and allegorical presentation. So Imam is warning that do not allow your material critical outlook while reading this ayat. And I appeal to reader, whether Muslim or not, to accept the spirit of this verse in its entirety. So Mola is also appealing that you take the spirit of this ayat and not read in the context of what the material representation this ayat is giving. So if we go by little, I have taken the examples and explanation of this ayat from different books. Its deeper understanding has already been given by our Dai, Buzurgan-e-Deen, and other scholars, Smiley scholars also. Main context, I have taken it from Imam Shanasi and Silsila Noor-e-Imamat by Professor Allama Humzai, who's explained this ayat from these different Smiley Dai sources, particularly Nasir al-Khusro. So when we talk that Allah is the light of the heaven and the earth, so it is important that understanding light, which Yasmin has also mentioned, that it is the multiple dimension. So we have to think that is this light same as a natural light, or it is a different light? And we have now understood that this light is an example, but the meaning is for us, for the personal world, and it is for the inner self. So Imam of the time is actually the divine light. And just as sun, which gives light to this world, is always there, similarly Imam of the time who gives light to the world of religion is always there. Just as the disappearance of sun from this world is impossible, similarly disappearance of Imam in a physical presence from any time or any second or any minute second from this world of religion is impossible. So he is always there. So this is a divine light. It should be always there in its physical form. And it is also the light of soul and light of intellect. So if light of soul and light of intellect, can it be seen with the physical eye? So it is not possible for us to see soul and the intellect with this physical eye. So it means that the people of world who have seen Imam's divinity with the physical eye, then nobody would have denied Imam's existence, because they could all see with the physical eye Imam's divinity, Imam's divine existence. But we see that not all of us, all of the people in the world are obeying Imam of the time. So just as nobody denies the existence of sun in this world, because we all see the light. So when we see Allah is the light of the heaven and the earth, in reality it means that each and every particle of this universe is actually immersed in the ocean of light. Every particle of particles is illumined by the ocean of this universe, by light in the ocean of this universe. And this light is much more penetrative than the fire. So if you put anything in the fire, it catches the fire, it becomes heated. And if you put coal in the fire, it catches the color, it catches the heat. So the property of fire is so much subtle. But if you see, light is more subtle than the fire, so it penetrates into each and every particle of this universe. So it is penetrative, it penetrates physically, it penetrates spiritually, and it penetrates into the soul, and that's where we call it a universal soul, because it's a nafs-e kulli where the whole universe is under control. So it is also correct to say that things in the heaven and the earth have two forms. One is physical and one is luminous. So luminous form is basically, we need to see that how this luminous form and the luminous body of Imam connect with this physical form. So then Allah says that Masalu Nuri Kamishkatin Fiha Misbah. His light is as a niche in which is a lamp. उसके नूर की मिसाल एक ताक की सी है जिसमें रोशन चिराग है. First of all, we can reflect that why Allah has given example of lamp and not the sun. So this is very important to reflect that because lamp is small, we can connect with the lamp, we can untie the wisdom which is provided in the lamp, we can observe the lamp very clearly, we can put the lamp in our house, we can lit the lamp and we can see how the lamp works. And as Imam Sultan Shah has said, that healthy human body is a temple in which flame of Holy Spirit burns. So हमारे दिल में जो एक spark है, that Holy Spirit, it burns by Imam of the time's light. So it is very important to understand this Ayah Noor because it talks about the Imam, how Imamat works and how Imams work. And niche is a place in the wall where this lamp is kept. Today we do not keep lamp in this time, but when in the ancient days, when this lamp were kept, then they choose a space where this light can spread in full room and where the most light is needed. So similarly, lamp is kept in this world, in this physical world, through Imam of the time, in the physical body, because this world and not in the next, but this world, light is needed the most. So therefore, and this in the 49th Jama, light is more needed because of the scientific development, because of the atomic development and all energies which are coming in. So therefore, it is very important that this time light is of the Imam should lit, and then it is very important here. So Imam of the time in the corporal body who lamp this light of Allah lives in this world among the people. So this light is given from the height of honor. So when this lamp is kept in a height so that light can be given in the all room and the room can be brightened. But here, Imam of the time is actually at the height of the honor and not the height of the special, like Makani and Sharafi height. So Sharafi height means honor. So in the honor level, Imam is at the highest level. So he can shed the light throughout the world and throughout the universe. So in Ahl Bayt explanation, in a few explanation, it is also said that Nish is people of the house, and some in some explanation it is said that Nish, which is this where the lamp is kept, is actually the progeny of Hazrat Ibrahim, and through this progeny we have Prophet Muhammad, and then from Prophet Muhammad, Maulana Ali, and then that chain of Imamat goes on and continues with Maulana Shah Karim al-Sunni Hazrat. And the lamp, which is this one, is the Imam of the time. In its physical form, it's in corporal body. So the next, Allah says that the lamp is in a glass, and the glass is as though it were a glittering star. चिराग एक शीशे की कंदील में हो और वो कंदील जैसे रोशन सितारा. So this protecting glass is basically the light, or where the light of the lamp is being protected is Prophet Muhammad, because from the Prophet Muhammad this chain of Imamat started and his progeny. So Rasul, who is Natik, he protects the light of Imamat, because at the time of Prophet Muhammad, Imamat started. I'm talking about this time. Imam is always there, but this time, in this time, Prophet Muhammad, Maula Ali was the first Imam. So light of Imamat was shared through Prophet Muhammad. And Prophet has undertaken exoteric dawah and concealed the secret of Imam till resurrection. And also protect Imam from physical difficulties, obstacles in carried out functions of Imamat, just as Lalten without glass cannot give the light properly. So it is very important at the time of Holy Prophet that Ali was protected. Ali's this specific secrets of the Imamat was protected, because the time was not that we should unveil all the secrets. And the glittering of the glass like a star means that Rasul or Natik attained the light of Imamat and veiled him within this light. The viewer supposes that this is the glittering star. So actually, Maula Murtaza, who was entrusted with all divine acts, like he was Allah's hand, Allah's foot, Allah's eye, Allah's ear, Allah's tongue, etc. So Holy Prophet received revelation, which is wahi, inspiration, ilham, didar, knowledge, and all intellectual attributes from him. So, but all these matters were kept secret in a wisdom-filled way, so that the secret cannot be unveiled before the resurrection or before the time does not come. So in this sense, protecting glass becomes so bright that it looks like glittering star. Like Maulana Rumi said that Muhammad hu qibla gahe alam, wali bar takht dil Sultan Ali hu. The Holy Prophet Muhammad was in the position of the Kaaba for entire world. But the king on the throne of his heart was Maula Ali. So actually, it's the light of the Imamat who was shining the glittering star, and it means that the outer glass is like a star. So move again to the next portion is, it is lit from the blessed tree and olive, neither of the east nor of the west. वो जैतून के मुबारक तरफ के तेल से रोशन किया जाता है, यानी वो लैम्प जो न शरकी है न गर्बी. So bit by bit, if we see flame, which is a batti or a light, this is a universal intellect. The reason or the tawil is that the flame or batti of this lamp is the universal intellect aklikul, because when oil gives light by burning, spiritual problems are solved, and the universal intellect help us solve universal problem which is related to spirituality, which is related to religion, which is related to understanding of Islam in this time. So it is very important that all the things which is there in the Quran, and we need to understand Ismailism, we need to understand religion, so that understanding comes from the universal intellect. And oil from the olive tree, which is the universal soul, which is above and higher than the limitation of time and space. Therefore, it is said that this olive tree is neither of the west nor of the east. So if we talk about sun, maybe sun has no east and west. So similarly, universal intellect, universal soul doesn't have the east and the west. So the oil of which would give light to light, though no fire touched it, light upon light. इसका तेल खुद ब खुद रोशन हो जाएगा अगरचे इसे आग ना छुए, नूर पर नूर. Now universal soul and universal intellect, both are perfect. So it does not need any external fire or any other spiritual help or tai. Like we all do need help, we all do need some kind of spark to flame our light. But universal intellect and universal soul, they do not need any external fire or a ta'id, and this ta'id is always there. Therefore, there is no other ta'id is necessary for this universal intellect and universal soul. It is always giving the light of Tawheed and oneness. Light upon light, Nurun ala Nur or Nur par Nur, is the chain of Imamat without interruption. So if we consider Imam as a speaking book or Imam as a book, then it is considered as a chapter by chapter, and each chapter is in its a unique form. So we have to understand religion in terms of a speaking book or a book where we need to require to read all the chapters and understand all the chapters if we want to understand Ismailism and if we want to understand logically how Ismaili Mazhab or how the religion goes so far. So therefore, the physical guidance and spiritual guidance is very important, and we received spiritual guidance as well as we received physical guidance from the Imam of the time. And if we think light upon light, we realize that this universal intellect, we call it, there is no beginning and there is no end of Nurun ala Nur, which is beginninglessness and endlessness. Like in Sher, Idar Nuras, Isar Nuras Mashhur, Azim Ja Faham Kun Nurun ala Nur. It means Father is Nur, Son is Nur, Nurun ala Nur is understood in this way. So it goes from father to son, or any remote here. So Allah guides to His light whom He pleases. Allah sets forth parables for humanity, and Allah has perfect knowledge of all things. Allah जिसे चाहे अपने नूर की तरफ रहनुमाई करता है, अल्लाह अपने बंदों के लिए मिसालें बयान करता है, और अल्लाह हर चीज को जानता है. So, sun does not require any proof of its existence as the light of the soul and intellect required. So that means that God is saying that He guides to His light whom He wills, means that when He gives the guidance, then we need to understand what guidance means, what hidayat means. So hidayat means to show a path. So a path of spirituality, a path of intellectual progress, a path of religious progress. So that guidance can be given in three ways: either verbal guidance, written guidance, and practical guidance. So if we see each guidance, verbal means to guide a person about a path or a way in verbally and tell him about the signs and details necessary, maybe to a person who is not experienced traveler. And the written guidance means the traveler is provided with a map, some signs, then he may reach to the destination following the map. And the last is a practical guidance. So practical guidance means persons walks with and guide that person to reach the destination. So written guidance and verbal guidance has some risk, because verbally one may forget, because you have given some signs, and maybe when you go halfway and you identify that you have forgot something. And even in written guidance, if you are not enough a person who very well versed with the map, or maybe illiterate person or ordinary person, they may not be able to understand the map. So the best way of guidance is the practical guidance, where Imam actually takes you with you to the destiny and to the destination. And Allah strikes out parables, means He gives examples, like we see that the niche, lamp, glass, star, olive tree, these examples are for the humanity to understand the mechanism of Imamat, how the light of the Imam, Nur of the Imam works, what are the religious principles, how we can progress. So these are the practical guidance which Imam of the time provide. And we are blessed enough that we believe in Imam of the time. So this practical guidance we receive time to time, and we can reach to the destination, because this practical guidance is with us, with Zinda Imam, with lived Imam all the time. And if Allah is the light of heaven and the earth, who would deny that yes, He is the light of the earth and the heaven? But Imam's Nur gives the deeper understanding, and its functions can only be understood with these examples, because these example of lamp, example of this physical light, this connects with us. This connects with us physically, how can a person, if Imam has given example of his noor is like a sun, then it is impossible for us to go to sun and then look how sun works and how we can observe what are the property of sun. So it's very difficult. So Allah gives the example which are of this world, and it is very much easily understood for all of us that how these examples work. And that's way Allah is giving the hidayat, like Allah is saying that वो अपने नूर की तरफ रहनुमाई करता है. So that is rehnumai, means giving practical guidance. Rehnuma means you go and walk with the path, walk with a person to reach to the destination. So recapping, if we see, if you can write in a chat, we have said that niche is like meaning. What is the meaning of niche here? What is the meaning of glass case? Burning a lamp and a fuel. So this is the answer. You will find this examples many of the time where dais and peers have said that you lit a lamp in your heart so that you will be able to see the whole world. So if you lit a lamp in your heart, how could we see this whole external world? We can see the whole world in our personal world, because our personal world, as last time we discussed, that whatever examples or whatever is in this universe is in Holy Quran and is in personal world. So if we conquer our personal world by letting the light, then we will understand our soul. And when we understand the soul, definitely we will be able to understand Farman, Quran, and also how this universe works. But for that, definitely we need a raw material, we need a preparation. For the preparation, we need to give food for the spiritual upliftment, and also food for the intellectual upliftment or intellectual growth, which is ilm and ibadat. So you need ilm also and ibadat both together so that we can progress spiritually and be able to lit the light in our house, in our physical, in our this personal house. So I am just ending my presentation with Dua-e-Noor, which also talks about, which Yasmin has mentioned, that he is asking Allah. So this is the Prophet Muhammad dua, but we can also also recite this, and we can ask that Allah gives light to heart and every other 16 places which this Dua-e-Noor is explaining. So with that, thank you very much.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Shukran Millah, Alhamdulillah. रुबीना साहिबा, यहाँ पर WhatsApp पर एक क्वेश्चन है. अगर if you have a couple of minutes to answer this, please. Can you hear me?
Yes.
जी. Question है.
Chat पे नहीं है ना? सवाल is not on chat.
Not on chat, is on WhatsApp in our group. जी. Question is, can you explain, or is it possible to explain the different colors of the Noor a Mu'min would see when they succeed in the Ibadat?
It's a very difficult question, because it is like a person who has experienced that Noor, but from the readings of Buzurgan-e-Deen, basically last time we explained that jo Musa ki story mein tha, there is a yellow Noor which is a Noor of Riyazat, then there is a green Noor, which there is a red Noor which is the Noor of sacrifice, and then we receive the green Noor, which is the Noor of the heaven, because you have now reached to the level of the heaven, and then finally we have the white noor. So the color which we see during spirituality, during our spiritual progress, you see a very beautiful color, which are which would be, one cannot explain that how much beautiful colors when you progress, and these colors are basically colors from the primary color, which in Hazrat Musa's story we talk about yellow, green, and yellow, red, and green, which is the primary color. But they are not actually the color of this world, but this is the spiritual color. And sometimes people say that you are so much engrossed in ibadat, looking at these wonderful colors, and it's not just the color like it, but it is in a very beautifully framed in such a way that you would not be wanting to come out of that experience, and you would like that every time you do ibadat and then you see the color. And at this stage, every religion actually go to more or less this stage, but then definitely you have to progress that. You have to progress from red to green and to white. And white is the universal intellect, and you have to progress to see the Imam of the time, and Imam's ilm, Imam's hikmat, and Imam's religiosity, and the mechanism where Imam of the time were. So you have to progress. You cannot stay in this colorful light. So this is all what I have read, but it is very important that if somebody have experience, then we can hear from those people.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Do we have any more questions? You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you like to have a question.
I think somebody has written time out, please.
Yeah, they're trying to tell you 1 hour is
Yes.
It's okay, we can take a couple of minutes if anyone has a question, because it is not every day we get Dr. Rubina Sahiba. She's a great scholar with us, and it is not every day that we have her online. So if you have any question, please send me on WhatsApp group or in this chat and ask, or you can unmute yourself. Okay, if not, then we can stop here. We thank you, Rubina Sahiba and Yasmin Sahiba, for a great session. And please stay with us. We have Zaid Lalani coming up next.